All right, guys, we've got a preview here of the NFL championship games that are coming this weekend. Tomorrow, actually, when you get this video out there. AFC championship game between New England and Denver, and the NFC championship game between the Rams and Seattle Seahawks. Should be fun. And yeah, we're just going to talk through some of these games, just talk about a couple angles here and there, and see where we end up. So we'll start in Denver, hosting the Patriots here. This look ahead was 1.5, and unfortunately Bo Nix will not be available for this game. So the real open was 4.5, 5.5, depending, or some of them got up to 6.5 for a moment. We're down to 3.5s in a couple spots there. So the Patriots still favorites. Patriots will close relatively comfortable favorites here. I imagine they close underdogs just in a world where everyone's healthy. But yeah, no Bo Nix here, and it's the Jarrett Stidham show, and he hasn't thrown a meaningful pass in a couple of years now, since 2023. I imagine everyone's seen that, and I know a couple of people looking around at his preseason tape and stuff. Two different things here. We're talking preseason defenses and AFC championship game defenses. So his first meaningful pass in a couple years will be in the AFC championship game, albeit at home. And he's got a good schemer, which I think is what is keeping Denver in the mix here. If he were playing at a team like Philadelphia with that offensive team, that offensive coordinator, place like that, this would be dead in the water, in my opinion. But he's got a Sean Payton who's shown before that he could do this with a backup quarterback. And again, the system is relatively quarterback friendly. A lot of it's going to come down to how well they run the football. Unfortunately, as of this moment, J.K. Dobbins will not be a part of that. So we're going to be with the Harvey McLaughlin show going forward. But the run game is going to need to be solid. And again, this is the best offensive line in football. But for a while now, Denver haven't really run the ball particularly well without Dobbins. They've been throwing more. They've been using Bo Nix's legs more. That's out of the question now with Bo Nix out. So we can't be using Bo Nix's legs to run the football here. Whether Jarrett Stidham gets himself some carries, we'll see. I think he'll get a couple just to kind of keep them on their toes and kind of stick with the system a little bit. But it most likely isn't going to be the Bo Nix, 8-9 carries a game. I'm not expecting that here. Very well possible, of course, depending on this game state and things like that, but not necessarily expecting it. And again, the run game won't have Dobbins here. It looks like it'll get back Wattenberg there up at center, which is nice. Getting a starter back on the offensive line is pretty big, particularly against this duo in Barmore and Milton Williams, who have been eating up bad offensive lines all playoffs. Barmore played like a man possessed last week. Milton Williams continues to play really well. It's a pretty tough interior that they're going to go up against, so getting a starter back there on probably the best offensive line in football right now with Denver, maybe two. Either way, it's probably one or two. Will be huge. They're going to need to protect. Hopefully you can push back some of what New England wants to do pass rush-wise on the outside. That's probably where they're a little bit weaker. So if you can double team in the middle and win your one-on-ones in the middle, you're probably going to have time for Stidham to throw, and hopefully the routes develop well enough. Again, you're going against an okay secondary. You're getting a really good cornerback there in Christian Gonzalez as well. So it's not going to be a walk in the park, even if you do obviously protect well. And Stidham has to hit his throws. So interestingly enough, if you're doing those things, you can score points, crazily enough. We'll see what that looks like after the scheme or after the scripted stuff ends. There's a funny dude I like to follow on Twitter, and we get to like 15, 20 plays into the game, and he goes, that was great. Now let's see the non-scripted stuff. That's where this game is going to probably boil down to, and that's probably where New England has its advantages. If you like Denver, it's probably because there are points scored early, and Sean Payton schemes up some good drives on his first 20, 25 plays going into it. If not, I don't know. Like, I don't know where Denver holds on here in terms of if they don't score early. Like, New England offensively should get some points. Like, really like this defense for Denver. It's good. It's not Houston. It's not Seattle. It's just not those teams there. So the pass rush is good. It gets their sacks. There's no one guy on the team I'm super worried about getting back there and wrecking a game, like a Will Anderson or a Daniil Hunter or anything like that. Excuse me. So that is a bit of a worry going on into it. And in terms of how good it is, I do think it's slightly overrated. Again, it's very, very good. It's tough to like look at a top like 5 defense and be like, man, it's overrated. But this has played like a couple of good offenses and been exposed a little bit. 34 to Jacksonville, 26 to Green Bay. Could have been more. What else we got on here? Excuse me. Haven't played a ton. Obviously, 30 to Buffalo. Buffalo turned the ball over 5 times and still scored 30 points. So good offenses, I think, can cause problems here, and I think New England have a good offense. If you can stop the run of New England, which isn't fantastic running the football in terms of just standard down-to-down stuff, then you can get at this defense a little bit. Maybe that pass rush then gets to tee off on some of these 3rd and 8s, and, you know, you get Surtain out there who can hopefully cover his guy, and, you know, Riley Moss has a good game, and then that's where you win defensively. But if, you know, Stevenson's getting 4 yards a carry, it's tough to see a world where Denver are stopping New England enough to win the game, particularly if they don't score enough points early. So we'll see here. Again, if you like Denver, the game script to me is your scripted drives go well and you get like a 10-point lead early, get a couple stops, and then the game can kind of go your way. Then you can run the ball. You can hopefully run the ball well, 3-4 yard passes, kill clock, move it that way, flip field position. If your defensive line's winning and your offensive line's winning and you won the first quarter, just, you know, you got yourself a bit of a lead. That's the game state I think Denver needs to go ahead and win a game like this. If this gets out to New England score 10 points on their first 2 drives and Stidham just misses a guy in between there and they punt, I don't know a world, like, that's not the game state that Denver can really hang with. Then New England can run the ball. Then New England can do their short stuff. Then New England can kill clock. And then defensively just stay in it and forcing Stidham into throwing the football more and, you know, having to open up the playbook and go further down the field type stuff. That's where New England wants it. So there is a world where Denver win this game. Again, this is not a throw it out kind of football game. If it were a different opponent, like if this were a Seattle, like Seattle probably by 10 to 20 feels kind of good. But this is a New England team whose defense is probably a bit overrated right now, considering the last couple of opponents they've played, and a New England offense that you hope you can stop with your good defense. So that's the route for Denver. Again, the route for New England is stick in it. Like even coming from behind, I kind of trust New England here to do that. Again, I don't love this defense like I love like a Houston defense, like I love a Seattle defense. So I think you can score points here, and I think you can kind of throw it a little bit. So I don't think New England's out of it going behind, but I think Denver need to front run here a little bit if they want to win this football game, get into halftime ahead, get out of the first quarter ahead, and then your game state's yours. If you go into halftime behind, early behind, you're chasing in the third quarter down 10, I'm not so sure Denver can scheme up enough for a backup quarterback like Stidham to go ahead and overturn that kind of stuff. So it should be an interesting football game. Hopefully Denver get out to an early lead and we get a genuinely tight game going into the nightcap, which will be probably the game of the year, in my opinion, so far. Seattle, LA, NFC Championship, excuse me. Now, this is a fun one. Obviously, they've played twice before already. Seattle won the most recent one, 38-37, I believe, and then Rams won the first one, 20-18. So these two teams have played twice, and we've got a 1-point difference between them after 120 minutes of, actually longer than that, more than 120 minutes, 130 something or 120 something minutes there, because that second one went into overtime. Yeah, they're pretty tight. The Seattle have definitely been playing better as of late. Obviously, they won the most recent one, and they've been comfortable recently, just game to game. The Rams, on the other hand, you escape a little bit at Carolina, you escape a little bit at Chicago, and McVay's one of the best coaches in the league. McVay's been messed with a little bit, been outcoached a little bit over the last couple games. And he'll be coming up against a good coach here in Mike McDonald. It's a really good Rams offense, a solid defense. It's a really good defense for Seattle, solid offense. Like, these two are very, very good. They're the two best teams in the league currently. And they've been the two best teams in the league for a little bit. So should be a fun one. There are a couple of injuries to look at with Seattle in terms of the offensive line, which worry me a little bit. You get a couple of you're getting a couple of worries in there. Obviously, you're missing Charbonnet behind a Kenneth Walker there, and then you're going to be missing a Bryce, the left guard. You're also missing Amari Knight, a couple guys there on the offensive line. There was some stuff with Charles Cross. And there are some issues there, and we'll see. Some of the beat reporters talking about playing like Zabel at left tackle, which is a worry if guys don't get healthy and stuff like that. I expect some of these guys to play, but again, this is probably, you don't want to go into a game like this with huge worries on the offensive line or anything like that. So it's an interesting spot that way. Otherwise, a lot of this offensively for Seattle is going to come down to Sam Darnold. And I know like, we have this discussion about Sam Darnold all the time, but until he wins a game like this and stakes like this, they're going to be there. And particularly if this offensive line has problems and the Rams are, getting to the quarterback, it could happen again. And it just takes one or two interceptions here and you lose this game. So there are questions about Darnold. There'll be questions about this offensive line. Charbonnet is a good mix. It's not someone you want to be missing, because it's like taken away from. Charbonnet is obviously the backup, but he's in my opinion, just a better down-to-down runner, better hitter, bigger guy, can go out and get 4 or 5 comfortably most times, while Kenneth Walker is more boom or bust. And in a game, like, if you have a trouble on the offensive line and the Rams are having a good day defensively and getting pressure and stuff, that's kind of the game you want to run Charbonnet in, and you don't want to run Walker. Walker is more likely to bounce around back there and, have a couple of negative losses that are 2 or 3 yard gains for Charbonnet. And again, Kenneth Walker is a good back, and he's very, very explosive. But in a situation like this, if your offensive line's a little bit dinged up and it's a good pass rush and it's a good defense and it's well coached, like this Rams defense is, that's kind of not where you want necessarily a Kenneth Walker alone. Obviously, Charbonnet, he won't be alone. Alani's probably going to get there and some other guys, but like, he's going to be the main guy, and you're not going to have that, secondary piece in Charbonnet who's just going to bulldoze a little bit and switch up the type of running plays you can do and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a miss. We'll see. And again, the big stuff's on the offensive line. As for the passing, you want to keep off pressure. Obviously, if you're Seattle, keep the Rams at bay a little bit there. Give Darnold a little bit of time. What you don't want is an early turnover here, an early pick, an early fumble, or an early sack or two that kind of causes Darnold to, revert back a little bit. And he has had his turnovers this year. Again, 14 picks this year, third most in the league. So those things are in there. And even if he's, been all right and, they won this game last time and stuff like that, still turned the ball over twice, still needed a punt return touchdown type stuff. So there's still stuff to worry about on that side. As for the Rams defensively, you obviously want to be getting pressure. And that's just keep doing what you're doing. This defense has been played pretty well against the Bears. It's younger. There are issues in the secondary in particular. But if you can get at this semi-injured offensive line and cause quick throws, then you can mitigate some of that stuff in the secondary. You can mitigate JSN a little bit. So that's what you're hoping for. There will be probably looks over the middle for A.J. Barner. As well, some of the tight ends and the, short guy stuff. But if routes can develop and you can get JSN downfield, that's obviously a gigantic bonus. Getting the ball in his hands in general is what you're hoping to look for there. But yeah, the Rams are going to need pressure. If they're not going to get pressure, then they're probably going to get picked apart. Again, the secondary is not playing particularly well. It's young, and a lot of the good things they're doing right now are scheme and just effort up front. So we'll see there. As for the offense, on the other side of the ball, Rams offense, they've shown they can move the ball on this defense. Again, they put up 1,000,000 yards in that last game. And again, needed a couple of funky things. Let me find it. Needed a couple of funky things to go ahead and lose that game because they were ahead comfortably at one stage, 30-14. You get the punt return, TD there, 2-point, stuff like that. But just in general, 581 yards, no turnovers. So they've shown they can do it. They're going to need to run the ball pretty well. Maybe. The problem with coaches is that they're going to run the football. Whether they feel like they can or not, they're going to run it. And they didn't run it particularly well last time. 3.2 yards a carry, 39 carries. I wouldn't run the ball at all. Obviously you want to run the ball and they want to run the ball and kind of set. You don't want teams just sitting back, 8 deep. But so you have to establish it, I guess, a little bit. But this is one of those scenarios where every rush feels like a waste of time. If you're going to move the football, it's going to come through the air. Did last time, 457 yards through the air, 9.3 yards a pass. You can get at this secondary a little bit if you can hold off the front, which, again, shown they can. So this is a very good Seahawks defense. They're going to stop the run. We'll see. The Rams are going to probably have to throw it to win this game. We'll see. Again, Stafford's not been playing particularly well, and some of his early season stuff, some of his off-target stuff, some of his turnover-worthy play stuff, it's coming back to bite him just a little bit recently. Not throwing it well, missing guys. He's got the finger thing that I imagine is still bugging him, so he's not been super, super accurate in terms of just regular down-to-down stuff. He's gotten away with a lot of stuff, has gotten away with a lot of bad passes all season, but excuse me, he's gotten away with a lot of passes all season and stuff like that, bad stuff. So that's kind of shown up a little bit, and he's been off target, and the offense has not been really moving. Last week should have been an offense he should have been moving comfortably on. Wasn't really. McVay, a lot of stuff he does late in games is also a worry in terms of keeping other teams in it. He's kind of conservative and stuff like that. That when they ran the football right before the 2-minute warning last game, just a stunningly bad decision, stuff like that. So McVay has that in him. We'll see. But again, offensively, throwing the football here. That's how they're going to move it. And if they're not going to throw the football here, it's going to keep Seattle's defense in really good spots. Like, early down throwing on Seattle, it's where you want to be. You don't want to be running up the middle, incomplete and 3rd and 8. You don't want that kind of stuff with Seattle. You don't want them rushing. You don't want a situation where you're running directly up the middle on 3rd and 3, trying to get first downs, which is something McVay has done. His 4th down package seems to be halfback dive, regardless of what's going on. 4th and 1, it's always halfback dive, and that's not what you want here. So we'll see. There are ways to beat Seattle. Are they going to do it down to down? It'll have to come. It'll have to come through the air. We'll see. But hopefully we get a couple of fun games. Again, two fun ones. Really, really, really looking forward to this Seahawks game. But yeah, two teams here going to the Super Bowl, and should be fun.